It usually happens at 2 a.m. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, mapping out an entirely new life. You visualize the business you'll build, the fitness routine you'll dominate, the habits you'll finally break. A sudden electric pulse of motivation hits you. You feel absolutely ready to conquer the world. Then morning comes. The alarm goes off. Instead of launching that new life, you hit snooze. That manic energy from the night before evaporates completely, leaving you to go through the exact same motions as yesterday. Society has a very quick diagnosis for this pattern. We are told it is a lack of willpower. We call it laziness, assuming that you simply do not want the goal badly enough to put in the work. That diagnosis misses the reality of what happens in your head. Laziness is apathy. What you experience at 2 a.m. is the exact opposite. It is a massive, overwhelming surplus of motivation. The problem is that the energy misfires. This flowchart shows how that gap between dreaming and doing occurs. Rather than flowing straight from motivation to action, the drive gets intercepted. Your brain reroutes energy into an endless simulation, tricking your mind into feeling successful without doing anything. The first trap your mind sets is a cognitive illusion. When you spend hours constructing a detailed hypothetical plan for your goals, you begin to confuse the act of thinking about progress with actual external progress. This diagram of the brain illustrates the biological mechanism behind the trap. Vividly imagining a successful outcome, like holding a finish a book or hitting a revenue target, floods your system with dopamine. You receive the chemical reward of victory before you even start the task. You develop an addiction to potential. Because the fantasy itself provides such a rich dopamine spike, your brain decides that messy, difficult physical effort is unnecessary. The chemical reward completely short-circuits the neural pathway that normally commands your body to move. Running these high-definition internal simulations requires an immense amount of cognitive energy. You map out every variable, every possible obstacle, and every hypothetical conversation. The neural pathways stall out, leaving you mentally exhausted before taking a single physical step. All that chronic overthinking feels incredibly productive, but it serves entirely as a chemical substitute for doing the actual work. Once you become hooked on the feeling of potential, your behavior shifts. You stop trying to begin immediately and instead become paralyzed by the need to wait for the exact right moment. In your head, the goal exists in a pristine, flawless state. Every step goes smoothly. The reality of actually starting from scratch, however, is awkward, slow, and full of mistakes. We often tell ourselves we need to clear our calendar or buy the right software. In reality, waiting for perfect conditions operates as a subconscious defense mechanism. Taking that first real, physical step means abandoning the flawless fantasy. It means accepting that your first draft will be terrible, or your first workout will be weak. Your brain actively resists beginning the task because doing so destroys the perfect illusion. Chronic procrastination acts exactly like this pristine glass box. It serves as a behavioral shield, keeping the glowing potential of your dream entirely isolated from the muddy, chaotic friction of reality. Beneath the dopamine hits and the perfectionism, a deeper psychological bedrock keeps you anchored in place. This layer consists of hidden survival fears and deep conflicts over your own identity. Your brain is highly evolved to protect you from social and personal pain. By engaging in endless, frantic preparation, arranging your desk, buying supplies, watching tutorials, you guarantee that failure remains impossible, simply because you never test your abilities. The second root cause of your paralysis is a concept psychologists call identity misalignment. A massive gulf exists between wanting the prestigious title of author or founder and being willing to adopt the grueling, mundane daily habits required to get there. You love the idea of the end result, while completely rejecting the day-to-day reality of the process. People remain entirely stuck in this phase because their ego desperately craves the final reward, while their current identity flatly refuses to make the required daily sacrifices. Recognizing these psychological mechanisms changes how you view your own behavior. It strips away the comforting illusion that you are simply being a careful, detail-oriented planner. Once these layers are exposed, the excuse of waiting for the right time loses its power. It becomes easily recognizable as an act of active self-sabotage. To break out of the simulation, you have to intentionally rewire your internal reward system. You must stop seeking the quick dopamine spike of a perfect fantasy and train yourself to value the difficult friction of real effort. Detach your personal identity from the grandiose final outcome. Force yourself to attach it the quiet, unglamorous execution of daily actions. Measure your success by the habit, not the hallucination. Actual progress only begins when you shut down the internal simulation. It starts the second you force your body to take one